I'll go ahead and read from the sign-in sheet in the order that people signed in. When you come forward to speak, I will ask you to state your name clearly and spell your last name for the record. I will then administer the oath unless you indicate otherwise. First person signed up to speak is Jan Johnson. Ms. Johnson, would you please approach that table right there? Would you remain standing? And raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony you are about to give is the truth?
I do.
And could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Jan, J-A-N. Johnson, J-O-H-N-S-O-N.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. You may proceed.
Each of you here have been selected to do your job. You are in a position of honor, or of public responsibility and of public trust. You are making decisions about the costs and the health of people in this state, including babies not even born. With that in mind, I want to talk to you about the availability of thousands of research studies connecting microwaves and health problems. That is, I'm sorry, I'm marked up because I was expecting to speak to many more people, and it's...
That's okay, take your time.
I've edited a little bit in my head. Illness from microwave is unlike traditional diseases we understand. That is, we understand illnesses that have a predictable pattern of a certain number of days, a certain rash, perhaps a predictable fever. Illness from microwaves, by contrast, is harder to understand. It seems to alter, these illnesses seem to come because there's been altering of the electrical and chemical systems of the cells in the body. The results are unpredictable, and it includes illness such as cancer, sleep problems, headaches, behavior problems, low sperm count, damaged sperm, heart problems, autism, memory loss, and other neurological problems. Industry and government representatives often dismiss this issue with the comment, there's not enough research. Well, if you're only looking at the front page of the Boston Globe as your source of research, then yes, that is true. Of course it's true. The major media and TV stations are all owned by industry. Industry does not want you to read studies that might hinder profits, so the media does not report them. Nor does industry want universities to provide honest research. So industry donates heavily to research universities to silence them. With a project that costs 40 to 60 million or more, and the risks of health to everyone in Massachusetts and the future of unborn babies, I would expect everyone involved to go beyond the Boston Globe for research. I would expect you to seek out people who have become ill from microwaves and ask, how do they know the source of their illness? They will be able to tell you. The numbers of such people are growing rapidly. Websites are popping up for people desperate for a safe place to live, away from microwaves. It's getting very scary for them. When we do the right thing, we know it because it feels good. This does not mean it feels good to your pocketbook. It means you have done the right thing in the eyes of humanity. Just because you can make a profit and be protected in a court of law doesn't mean it's right. Slavery was legal but not ethical. As humans, we all have a responsibility to protect each other. In conclusion, my daughter's best friend, 39 years old, has an adorable 7-year-old and a loving husband, and a brain tumor the size of a tangerine. A coworker of mine has a 6-month-old baby with cancer. A 6-month-old baby. This worries me. I'm sure you have your own stories. Cancer has become the leading cause of death by disease in children. We need to know what's going on, and we need to be more careful. We can't just go willy-nilly on projects when we're not sure what the results will be. We need to look at what the research is telling us, and if nothing else, use caution. The younger the child is when they begin using a cell phone, the greater is the risk of developing cancer. Think about that when you decide if it's okay to continue putting 6 to 8 smart meters outside a baby's bedroom, or erect cell towers in every neighborhood, or to allow National Grid to continue to pass on this expense to consumers. As long as we allow moneyed interests to dictate our government, we cannot be a democracy. I'd also like to read some words from someone who's not able to be here. They're not my words, but they represent my sentiments. And I also have handouts here of research places where you can easily find, with their links where you can easily find.
Would you like to first and provide those? And Ms. Johnson, have these already been provided to the department's e-filing website?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Her points are, just because the word sustainability has been introduced as a selling point for a project doesn't make the project ecologically or otherwise sustainable. Just because a picture was painted for an increase in electrical system reliability doesn't ensure meaningful increases in reliability and response time to outages. Just ask those in Maine already living with a smart grid. Just because consumer choice was assured doesn't mean that customers will have any meaningful choice to participate in this project, and certainly not after the end of the project period. Just because economic efficiency has been promised doesn't mean that these changes will be cost-effective, or fees or charges will not be raised very shortly after the completion of the pilot project. In fact, this is the likely scenario. Just because the program is called a pilot program doesn't mean that the outcome isn't already a foregone conclusion. Worcester residents are being coerced through silence and seduction into a grand experiment never before perpetrated on a population, one that is intended to be a precedent throughout the country. Something is very wrong with this picture when the promises don't measure the realities. All of this is familiar. Where have we heard this sweet-talking pattern before, and how many times? Please note we are dealing with an industry, a corporate business whose ultimate mission is for the betterment of its financial stakeholders. This is not coming from an altruistic social service for the good of the people and the environment. And I'd just like to point out that one of the most alarming aspects of the pilot was that the National Grid and Worcester deferred to an actual career tobacco scientist, Peter Wahlberg, to override citizens' health concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Just for the record, Ms. Johnson provided the bench with a physician and citizens' concerns about microwave technology website and a listing of websites. Thank you for coming in today. I'm going to go ahead and call the next member on the sign sheet.